Hola, bienvenidos. Welcome to Mexico Relocation Guides live stream, live Q&A. Today with my very friendly, beautiful face, Diamond. A special guest that is joining us today who lives in Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco, which is in Mexico. If you guys don't, are just for the very first time tuning in, have no idea where Puerto Vallarta is, we are talking about living in Puerto Vallarta, moving to Puerto Vallarta, and specifically for Diamond, in her particular case, she moved with her also awesome daughter, Blossom. So I know that you guys might have questions about what is it like to live on the beach? What is it like to live in one of the most touristic Mexican beach towns? What is her cost of living like? And then I know some of you also have questions about enrolling your kids in school and whether to go public or private and what that's like. So Diamond is going to share some of her insights. She is fairly new to the area, but that doesn't mean that she doesn't have a ton of great insight. In fact, I would argue that, probably fresher in her mind because she's going through all the steps and still learning a lot. So, Diamond, thank you so much for being here with us tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Feel free, you guys, to start posting your questions. If you're on YouTube, there's a section that says comments. If you're on Facebook, it should just automatically come up whenever you start watching the video. But feel free to start posting your questions or let us know where you're watching from. In the meantime, Diamond, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, thank you. Also, it's raining. We are in the thick of the rainy season here in Puerto Vallarta. So there was like a flash earlier. If you see, it's thunder and lightning. It's all the things. Um, but anyways, my name is Diamond. I moved here on September 14th, 2024. I've been here for about 10 months with my daughter Blossom, who turned 5 here in Mexico. She celebrated her birthday here, and I'm obsessed. I love it. I love living here. I moved from Los Angeles, born and raised in Compton, California. I went to school in Los Alamitos, Long Beach, graduated from USC. So an LA native, like through and through. And as a single mom in Los Angeles, I was just exhausted. Like,
Yeah.
I was tired of the grind, tired of random goals that I realized weren't really mine, and like the need to perform. Like, I was like, what the, can I cuss? I'm like, what the hell was I doing? Like, what am I doing? Okay, good.
This isn't, well, we try to keep it family friendly, but
Okay,
yeah, you
yes.
can say whatever you need to.
We use colorful language in our household, but I'll do my best. But yeah, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? And my best friend, Alejandro, his family is originally from Jalisco. He was like, you should move to PV. Like, I think you'd really love it. And I was like, okay. And so I did.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even on your radar. Remember when we talked, you were like, you moved there sight unseen. So it was just kind
Yeah.
of like, what?
Yeah, I've never been here before. I mean, granted, I've been to Mexico before.
Sure.
I'm crazy. I don't know if I'm that crazy, but I've been to Cabo for my birthday, and I went to Punta Mita, which is in Nayarit, for a week vacation with a friend. And even then, I was like, this is paradise. Like, I would love to live here one day. And then fast track a year later, I'm here. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's it like so this is your first like rainy season, and my God, this has been a true rainy season right now for a lot of Mexico. Good, it's good. I mean, the rain is very much needed. But I know a lot of people have concerns about like, dengue and mold and those kinds of things. So what has been your experience so far? And I know that, it's kind of early in the season still, but
Yeah,
what do
I
people
know.
do locally?
Yeah, I've heard that it started earlier than usual. So at first it was light rains, like at night, and I just had my phone out for like a full hour recording the lightning show because that's not something that I'm used to. So I
Mm,
think initially, and even still now, I find it to be really beautiful and really therapeutic. Like, I love hearing the rain. But on a serious side, I'm I have the candles, I have the flashlights, I have batteries, I have all of those things. I have water because the power goes out and you never know how long it's going to stay out. Thankfully, I live in a newer building, but still, I'm prepared on that front. But on the, I guess, climate side, I find it to be really beautiful, really therapeutic. I don't have a car here, so I walk. So I walk in the rain. I walk my daughter to school. So it hasn't been that bad yet.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can always plan your day based on when it's going to rain. So you can plan, to take Blossom to school. Like I'm assuming it rains mostly in the evenings, then you can
Yeah,
take her to school, pick her up, and then, wait for the downpour.
exactly. Like we're in the house. I'll go to the grocery store or like order my groceries beforehand so that I'm, not navigating life in the evening time.
Are the mosquitoes pretty bad right now?
Yes.
So lots of mosquito repellent.
Lots of mosquito repellent. I try to use the natural mosquito repellent. They love my sweet blood. So
Mhm.
I'm scratching and trying not to get scars. But yeah, the mosquitoes are out. Blossom does not get bit as much as I do, which is good. But
That's good.
yeah, we're really proactive about that. Her school is too, which is awesome. They're always asking for bug spray, spraying the kids down when they're playing outside. So yeah,
That's good. That's good that they're being proactive. Because
yeah.
yeah, dengue is like a real thing, and I know that, I mean, when you're little, maybe it doesn't hit you as hard, but the older you get, it can really be like bedridden.
Yeah, can take you out. One of the mom friends here who's a photographer, she had it and she was like, I went to the hospital. So it's
Yeah,
it's serious.
yeah, serious fever.
Yeah.
Somebody's wondering, like, is there a large Black community that you have found, or that in your experience, what do you think?
Yeah. So there is like a mid-size Black community here. Brooklyn's Cafe, I feel like, is where everyone congregates. It's a beautiful Black-owned space in Centro, near the Malecon, and it serves amazing soul food. And they do church brunches, game nights, karaoke. Sugar runs it, and she honestly has been like such a dear friend to me and Blossom. Blossom raves about their chicken, so
That's
like
great.
we got to go for the chicken. But yeah, that is where I feel like most Black people hang out. And I would say too the romantic zone, because there's a big Black gay population here as well. Where I am in Versailles, anytime I see someone Black, I'm like, hello, hi, how are you? Like, do you live here? They're usually
Yeah.
traveling or just like visiting. So yes, not too many of us, but there is a nice, beautiful community that is brewing here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you never know. I would say to the person that asked that, Karen, if you want to meet other people in the Black community and you find that maybe you don't know where, you could always start your own group. And,
yeah,
you never know. There might be more people than like you might not know, but they might live like in the outskirts, or they're just not hanging around like, the touristic areas. So you
yeah,
never know. You might end up actually finding more that have
yeah.
lived there a while.
And there's
Um,
a bigger population too in Merida. I know too that there is a brothers and sisters Facebook group of PV. So that is like a booming resource. Tons of people in there, both that like live here and also just tourists and traveling through. So I would say join that community and make friends. That's how I've met some of my first friends here in PV. And like I said, just going to the hot spots. Yeah, that has really helped.
Great advice.
Yeah.
So going back to your rental, like how hard was it? So you never came before. You what, rented an Airbnb or a hotel and kind of looked around. What was that process like?
Yes. So thankfully, by trade, I'm a realtor in Los Angeles. And so I reached out to my sister brokerage at the time, and they connected me with a realtor here in Puerto Vallarta. And when I reached out originally, they were like, it's kind of early to start looking for a rental. You should
Mm,
wait 1 month out. And I think coming with that like American mindset of like, I need this figured out and I need this now.
totally.
Like, I was like, are you serious? You want me to wait 1 month to like go time? Like
Yeah.
it felt very weird and foreign. I'm like, well, I'm moving to foreign land, so let's go with the flow. So I worked with my realtor who is amazing. Blossom calls him Uncle Oscar. So I feel
Oh,
like
I love it.
everyone, yes, everyone that I've come in contact with in Mexico just feels like family, honestly. So I rented an Airbnb for 3 weeks in the romantic zone. I just found something that was cute. I knew nothing about PV and like what the romantic zone meant, other than my friend Alex.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So it's the neighborhood, you guys, in case anybody's wondering.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta.
Yes. And it's an LGBTQ neighborhood, which I love. Okay. Holler. But it's parties, it's hills, um,
Lots of hills, lots of
lots,
clubs.
lots of hills. My child was like, why are we walking up this hill? She's very vocal. And yeah, so I did that for about 3 weeks, and it was a beautiful rental. And then about a week before my rental was up, I went hard with my realtor, and we just toured different housing options in my and in my budget. And
Mhm.
then we were driving through the current neighborhood that I'm in, Versailles. He was like finding me very like American cookie cutter like developments, and I was like, mm-mm, that's
Yeah.
not me. Like, I'm leaving that, you know? I'm like, let's go back over there. There's cobblestone, there's coffee shops. I see people walking around, there's all the taquerias. Like, I want to be over there. And he was like, okay. So that's how I found this space. The moment that I walked in, I was like, this is home. And
Okay, that's good.
um,
He
it's
really listened and delivered on what you wanted to see. That's good.
yes,
Um, Tell us about your space because I know that's the number one thing people are wondering. Like, can I afford to live in Puerto Vallarta? So, would you
yeah.
mind sharing some of your expenses?
Of course. So for me, I came from Los Angeles, which is a very expensive city already. My rent there was a little over $3,100 a month in Playa del Rey. So by the airport, it's a nicer area, and so now my rent here is a little over $1,500 USD a month. And I know for some people that is expensive. I know that's like on the higher side when we're talking about pesos here in Mexico. But for me, in my mind, I'm saving half. And I have,
Absolutely.
yeah, I have a 2 bed, 2 bath. I see the ocean out of one side of my space. I see the mountains behind me. It's exactly what I dreamed of when I wanted to live in Mexico. And so for me, this is like, I can't put a price tag on it. I feel like I'm saving. I know in other parts of the US, this is expensive. And
Yeah.
in Mexico, this is expensive too. But yeah, that's what I'm paying for rent.
And Versalles is not the most like the cheapest neighborhood or colonia. So
See,
like you're also paying for, the convenience of having a lot of things that you can walk to, not being so far away that you need a car, all those things, or that you need to wait for a taxi or any one of those
yes.
things. Yeah. So, you're paying for convenience and hey, you're car free. So you're saving some money there too.
Yes, to like reiterate that, I am car free. So I walk. Blossom School is like 2 minutes away by foot. So I walk there. We're close to Costco. So I walk to Costco all the time when I need to. I walk to La Comer, the also local grocery store here. So I am paying for convenience for sure.
What about utilities? Like, just can you run us through what an average? I mean, you came in September, so
Yeah.
it's pretty warm still, and maybe one of the warmer months uh,
Mhm.
compared to like December and January, for example. But also May and June, very warm. So, can you run us through like an average high and low of utility bills?
Yes, and I'm so proud of myself. Can I just say my last utility bill for electricity was 575 pesos.
Okay, yeah, pretty low. It's like less than $30.
Yes, like less than $30. So very proud of myself, and that's over a 2 month span. So that's really
That's
good.
also true, yeah,
Yes.
for a
Um,
bi-monthly.
yes. And then the month, or I guess the billing before that, I was at 525. So also like $25 for 2 months of electricity. Um, but the reason I'm proud is because when I first got here, I had the AC on. It was very hot. And I was like, let's just see what happens. And so I got my first utility bill and it was over 10,000 pesos. And I was like, ooh,
Ooh,
yeah, that's like
five
that's like
hundred bucks.
500. Yes.
Well, 250 a month if you divide it by the 2 months, but still, yeah, that's high for
Yeah.
sure.
Yes. So that was like sticker shock for me because, of course, as I'm doing my research, everyone's like, it's so affordable. It's so affordable. And I'm like, well, my bill was 500. And I was like,
Yeah,
well, it's still less than honestly an electricity bill in California. So I still like, took it as a win. But as, the season has cooled off, I'm really, you know, proud that my bill has gotten down to like $25 every 2 months.
yeah. You
Yeah.
learn to like. You're also acclimating, like the first month you're gonna be hit with that humidity and heat, and you're gonna probably want a lot of air conditioning. I feel like also in the United States, they're so accustomed to air conditioning that I don't know if you had air conditioning in Los Angeles or not, but
Yes.
yeah. So
Yes.
maybe a little bit of that too, just kind of weaning off, the
Totally.
constant need for air conditioning. Um,
Yes. I had to like wean myself off the AC
yeah,
drug.
yeah.
Yes.
And now maybe when you go back to the States, you'll be like, I'm gonna turn it off at night. Who
I'm never
knows? Maybe not.
I'm never going back, but if I
No,
must.
okay. Okay, we'll get into that. We'll get into that. Um, so one lady, Shelly, couldn't join us tonight, but she sent her questions beforehand, and she asked me to please ask you, what was it like to get Blossom into school? She's actually thinking of moving to Puerto Vallarta with her kid,
Oh,
and she's wondering like how hard was it? What was the bureaucratic process like? She's going to a private school, if I remember.
yes, she is. She's going to a private Mexican school here. The process was really easy. Honestly, I feel like everything just fell into place for me because I wasn't thinking ahead about her school. When you're preparing for a move and you're packing and you're, leaving friends and family and you're like starting this new life, for me, I didn't want to add another level of stress. Like, where is she going to go to school when I haven't even seen the area?
Yeah.
So I just let it fall into place, right? And thankfully, she's young enough that I didn't have to worry about like friends and like bullying. Like, she's so young that kids her age are so resilient and they get
Yeah.
acclimated well. So I went into it with that mindset, like she will be where she needs to be. But the process included, like having her birth certificate, having it apostilled, um, having her shot record, and I honestly I think that was it as far
Yeah.
as like the documents needed, really. And then once we moved here, I was getting my nails done, and I was just asking, the moms that were there because they were so curious, like, who is this woman? Like, you are American, you are black, you have this child with this like afro, like, who are you? And I'm like, oh, I live here now. And they were like, oh, here are a bunch of schools. And so they just gave me schools to check out. And thankfully, one of the schools that was high on their list like happened to be down the street. So again, like things just really fell into place. Um, the little research that I did do before, though, I knew that I didn't want to put Blossom into a school that was so similar to the US, right? And so similar to that type of like curriculum where it feels rigid.
Mhm.
I know my child, she colors outside the lines, both literally and figuratively. And so I didn't want to move her somewhere new and have to learn a new language, but still like fit in this box. So like the British school, the American school, like all of those types of private institutions that follow that kind of curriculum just were not on my radar. She came from a Montessori school, and so I wanted to find something along the lines of that. And her current school, fits that box. So that those were kind of the parameters that I was working with, and then things just really fell into place. Um, and for her new school, because she's graduating, she's in kindergarten right now, so she'll be going to primaria next year, which is like first grade. Her school is still in Versailles, so we can walk. So that was like
Okay.
important to me.
Yeah, for sure. You don't have to commute.
I was like, do I want to be in an Uber twice a day? No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so this school that she's going to, it's a bigger school. It's also private. What I liked about them is although it is somewhat on the level, I guess, of like the Anglo and the British schools, they prioritize global leaders. There's art everywhere. I just got the sense that kids can still be kids there, that it's not super
Mm.
rigid. And her current teachers also recommended it too, and they know Blossom, in the school sense better than I do, and so they thought it would be a good fit to send her there as well. So yeah, that was me navigating the school system here, but it was very easy. I just dropped in, I got a tour, any additional items that I needed, like 4 passport photos and like all of that type of stuff, the school told me.
Mm.
Um, and then I was able to enroll her within a week of us moving into our new rental. So she started school like right after her birthday in October, and we've been here ever since.
How much more less is her tuition?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so my tuition that I was paying in Los Angeles for her Montessori school was over $1,800 a month. Um,
Wow.
yes, USD. Her school now is a little over 5,600 pesos, so that's like maybe what, three something
About
USD.
$300. Yeah.
Yeah, USD here. Um, yeah, it is a fraction, and still when I tell people like where she goes to school, where I live, some of the comments are like, "Oh, that's expensive." So there is a range, right? There's still that range. Should that number of like $300, give sticker shock, there are other options that are cheaper. Her school next year is about double what her current school is. It's a bigger school. Um, so I don't know. She's getting older. I figured it costs more.
Yeah.
It's still cheaper than some of the other private schools here, though, in Vallarta. So again, it's perspective, but I'm grateful that I can walk her to school, and it's a bilingual school as well. So there'll
I
be
was
more.
gonna ask, yeah, if it's strictly Spanish or
Yes, her first school that she goes to now is strictly Spanish. Like they do English for an hour a day. So I really threw her in.
yeah.
Yeah, by choice, right? Like I wanted her to learn. I want her to soak it up. I want her to have a new experience. And again, this is the time. Like these kids are resilient, and so now she speaks Spanish and understands like more than me. And I'm like, when did you?
Yeah.
When did
She's
you learn?
translating for you.
Yes. So her current school is not necessarily a bilingual school. They only, learn English an hour a day. But her new school, I would consider it to be bilingual. They do like half of the day in Spanish and then half of the day in English.
And you want that. I mean, you wanted her to really immerse herself in Spanish when she first arrived, and then once she got really comfortable with the language, then be able to like speak English with her peers in Spanish and move between the two languages.
Absolutely. And whatever she doesn't get at school, I know that she'll get it from me, right? But
Yeah.
I'm not able to teach her Spanish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. Totally.
Like, yeah, I don't want to be walking around like Google Translate all the time. Like, that's just not who I want to be. So I'm like, you are being thrown in and you're taking Spanish lessons and you're doing all the things, and we are fully integrating here. And that is by intention.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and also coming from LA has to help a little bit, right? Like that's kind of the an official second language of California, as well as parts of Texas.
Yes.
So I can relate to that for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
Yes.
she may
And
have heard it at school.
absolutely. And the music, the song from my friends, it's, it is my second culture, I would say. Um,
Yeah,
Something else too about schools, I know that there are public Mexican schools, right, that are free, but for me, it didn't feel right to navigate that system as an American and as an English speaker. Like, I feel like those resources are set aside for the kids that need those resources.
agreed.
And coming here, like, you come here with privilege, like you recognize that and you own it. And for me, it just made sense to put my daughter in a school that I know that I can afford and that she would learn from versus trying to navigate like a free system that is designed for natives. It didn't make sense. It didn't feel right. And yeah, those spaces should be left for the kids that really need it.
Yeah, for the ones that really can't afford a tuition at a private school and really do need like classroom control, like So I totally agree. I couldn't agree with you more. Um, so some people are saying they're so excited about this conversation. I just wanted to let you know what some of the comments say.
Oh, me too.
Somebody's wondering if, or do you feel safe as a solo woman?
Yes, I feel hella safe. My mom came here in December. Her flight got in a little late. We got dinner around like 10 p.m. We're walking the cobblestone streets. And she was like, we would never do this in LA. We would never do this in Compton. I'm like, girl, we sure would never. So I feel very safe. I roam the streets at night with my child. I let my daughter like run ahead of me. And I know when I first got here, there were a lot of people, I think, putting fear into me, like the cartels and watch out and they're going to take you and they're going to take your baby. And like, I came here with the whole Apple tracker. Like I was that woman, for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
And then
doesn't
I'm
hurt.
like, yeah, right. That it doesn't hurt. I had to feel it out for myself. But now that I'm here, I feel really comfortable. I think too, what's beautiful about the town, or I guess the zone that I'm in, being in Versailles, is that everyone then starts to know everyone.
Mhm.
It's like true community. So we know the people that work at the coffee shop, and we know our neighbors, and Blossom runs the street, not the streets, but runs throughout the the complex here with her friend that she lives here with on the floor below us. And so yeah, there is that sense of like ease and safety that I just didn't feel at home. When I'm
Yeah,
out and about, people recognize me and my daughter and they're like, oh my gosh, she's so beautiful. Like we're appreciated as we walk the streets. And so therefore that appreciation I think comes with like the sense of protection, right? Versus like
definitely.
versus being other parts, of the world.
You will
I
have like Blossom will have like five other moms instantly. I mean, you will always obviously be the one that has the last say, but yeah, there will be
Yes,
unintentional other mothers telling her like, don't
yes,
do this, make sure you listen to your mom, blah blah blah. Yeah.
yes. At the restaurants, wherever we go, there's always someone like eyes on her. Like, I got her. You have food. Like, it's
Yeah.
okay.
Eat your
It-
dinner. I'm watching her. Yeah,
yes, it's so beautiful.
it is.
But yeah, so I feel safe here. I feel protected here. I feel in other parts of the world like men feel like they have a right to comment on your body. Like I don't get any of that weird cat calling. Like people hold the door for us. They let us pass. So yeah, I feel very protected and safe here.
And I feel like that's one of those things that you can't really like what you mentioned earlier, you were at the beginning kind of like a helicopter mom. Like you can't really gauge those things until you're actually there. And then once you're there, then you can start feeling like, okay, is it safe for me to let go of Blossom's hand for 3 seconds or whatever, or let her play with her neighbor friend outside without me literally standing at the door watching them.
Yeah.
Um, so I think, yeah, you start, and I say this for everybody watching at home too. I think that there's been so much fear put on everybody about, how dangerous Mexico is. And I'm not saying that danger doesn't exist. I also don't want to, like, dig our heads in the sand and say that crime doesn't happen. But I also want to say, like, it's not as prevalent as you think it is based on what the media would want you to think, um, especially if you're not involved in, illicit activity and a lot of criminal activity. So, anyway, I also do think that people should, do as they would in any other country and use their own
Good judgment.
internal.
Yes.
Yeah, you can tell, like, your gut feeling, right?
Yeah.
Something doesn't feel right, then you should go with your gut feeling.
Yeah.
Um, so I think all of those things. I'm sure I'm beating a dead horse, but I think it's worth saying again. And I think also a lot has to do with your attitude, Diamond. I think people open doors to you because you're so appreciative, because you're so willing to try to learn the language. You're so trying to integrate. You're trying to learn about the locals. You're trying to it all has to do with that too. I think there's some people that don't get those doors open to them because, they're shut in and they're like too protected. And, it takes a while to also bring down those walls when you come from a country that, everybody kind of does their own thing, and anybody who's trying to get to know you has an agenda.
Yeah.
So
Thank
I
you.
love that you're getting emotional.
I know. I'm a Pisces, so that is
Okay.
that is our second nature. But no, like you saying that, I feel it. I'm so grateful to be here. It is honestly like the best decision I made, and I feel um, so blessed that me and my daughter have been welcomed. I see the tourists and the other people that do live here that have that kind of like sense of entitlement. And it's like, no, this is sacred land. Let's act like that.
Yeah, yeah. Good reminder for anybody. And also, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to get to know your neighbors. Don't be afraid to, make mistakes learning Spanish. You're gonna make mistakes. It's
Oh my
okay.
gosh, yes, you're
You
gonna
gotta,
make
yeah.
mistakes.
Your first year living anywhere in any other country, you're gonna make mistakes. So just give yourself some grace. Another thing that people are wondering is, so you mentioned like the hilly areas and, like, getting around without a car. So is there, and you chose Versailles maybe for a specific reason. Is there anything that you would do different now that you've been, for like almost a year, coming up on a year?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like my journey has been um, so unique and so special, just the way that things have unfolded. I don't know if I would do anything differently, right? Like, I stumbled upon Versailles. I stumbled upon my daughter's school. Like, everything really worked out for the circumstances that I put out in the universe, right? Where I'm like, I don't want a car. I'm tired of driving in LA. There's no way I want to drive in another country.
Yeah.
Um, so I think I had really specific things that were on my I don't want to fucking do this list. And it all happened how it was supposed to happen being here. So I don't think I would do anything differently. But I would say, as I'm here living in Mexico, there are so many beautiful places to explore. And
Mm.
as I've gone to like San Pancho and back to Nayarit, and even going to the botanical gardens, like through Mismaloya, going to San Sebastian with my mom and like seeing the mountains, I'm like, there are so many beautiful spots that I can see myself living. So yeah, I'm realizing that I'm still journeying on this journey, right? Like, I don't know if this is my forever space in Versailles, but like I know that I just love being in Mexico, and when I feel pulled somewhere, I'm like, oh, I'm writing it down. Like, I'm noting that I really loved being, over there and over there. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good that you're exploring too. I think a lot of people hear about like the 5 cities in Mexico that are like kind of very touristic, and I mean for good reason, right? They have great infrastructure, good restaurants, really good airports. They have a lot of it going on for them. But there's also so much world outside of,
Yes.
the big touristic hotspots.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And I would encourage everyone that, when you get to a certain place, go out and explore. Like don't be afraid to explore. In fact, it should be fun to do
Yes.
like something different. And Mexico is very different from one state to the other. Like it
Yes.
truly is very different.
I'm learning that. Even when I went to Mexico City for like a hot second, I was like, oh, okay. Now I know PV is my place, right? I was like, the dude, the traffic. I was like, get me out of here. I feel like
Yeah,
I'm back in Los Angeles. Like the food was delicious, the art
sure.
amazing. All of
But
those
the
things.
energy is so chaotic. Yeah.
I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go. My
I
skin
need to
is
go back
dry.
to my peaceful life. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Yes.
Speaking of like, moving and like choosing that place, a lot of people always wondered like, will I be able to get everything that I want? Did you bring many things with you from LA to Puerto Vallarta?
Really. I think I
Yeah.
brought like 6 suitcases total, like four big ones and like two carry-ons. I went through a big like downsizing. I read a book about minimalism. like I
Yeah.
and even the things that I brought here, like some of the things, mostly clothes, right? I'm not even wearing them because
Sure.
the weather is so different and I'm trying to honor like what my body likes and like how it feels. And like if it's hot, I don't want fabric sticking to me.
Definitely.
So yeah, I got rid of a lot of stuff. I sold like all my stuff out of my apartment. Um, Good thing about like being a realtor, I had friends that were stagers, and so all the like expensive pieces that people were trying to lowball me on, my my stager friends bought them at a price that felt good to me.
Oh,
Um,
that's good.
yeah, my mom has some stuff. But yeah, I mostly sold everything and then whatever fit in my bags and donated stuff. So I was like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is also Puerto Vallarta, again, it's one of the pluses of living in a more well-known touristic spot is that a lot of rentals do come furnished.
Yes.
So that's awesome. You can just move in with your suitcase and your toothbrush and you're ready to start living in your house.
Yeah. And I think it's important to like fill things out. Like I got here, thankfully, the rental that I picked like had furniture that I liked, right? Like some places are nicer than others, some are a bit more
Mhm.
traditional, whatever, everyone has their own taste. But as I've gotten here and gotten settled, people are like, oh, you can always go to Guadalajara and get furniture. You can always go here and get whatever you want. Like pick up things to like start to make your space feel more personalized to you.
Mhm.
Because that's the beauty of it, right? It's just stuff that you can always buy and find and figure out. So
Yeah. It's a chance to really start over. Like it's for some people, I know it doesn't work for everybody,
yeah,
but I know for me, it would definitely be like almost, cathartic. Like you get to start over and like, redesign your space and
yes,
like new
yeah,
country, new house.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so what about your mom? You mentioned her a couple of times. Like, what did she think about you moving abroad with her granddaughter?
yes. She's like, you're so brave.
That's good. She was supportive.
She was supportive. She was like, I wish I did stuff like that when I was young. Good for you. She's like, I'm gonna miss my grandbaby. All the things, but thankfully she's still in Los Angeles. It's a 2-hour flight, so it's not too far, which is another beautiful thing about where Mexico is located. There's easy access to still get back to the United States if you ever wanted to, but for my mom to come visit me, it's easy for her to travel here. So she was really proud of me and encouraged me and all the things.
Yeah, that's good. Because somebody was wondering, like, what's that been like for Blossom to kind of stay in touch with her family back home, and is
Yeah.
she actually eating well?
Yes, she is. She FaceTimes what she calls her lovey. So she's like, I want to call lovey. So she'll call. One thing I think to make my single motherhood journey like beautiful is like my child is mine, right? And so I have the freedom to do things with her that I don't need to consider another partner necessarily. And so
Mhm.
that's one thing that I didn't have to navigate, right? Of, trying to maintain that relationship with her father or whatever. So it really is my mom. I also have like a very interesting dynamic with my own family. And I, for me, I say, family they're just people that you happen to like share DNA with. And so my friends are my family. I miss my friends. My friends are Blossom's family. My best friend is her godfather, and one is her godmother, and like she's in Canada, he's back in California. So like these are the people that like I miss. But
Mhm.
thankfully, there's social media. We have phones. My mom is close, so I'm not worried. It's made
Yeah.
me appreciate too the friends that I'm making here. Like, I'm meeting so many really amazing people. So
And
that
sounds
has,
like you have like a ton of angels looking out for you. I mean, it's just so many people like, guiding you in the right directions, from the moms telling you which schools to, the people at restaurants and making sure that you're like, "She's
yes,
got her, don't worry," to,
yes,
your realtor to like, it is meant to be. I believe nothing else for sure.
yes, a
You
thousand.
know, when it
Yeah,
fits, it just fits. Um, I'm going to read through some of these questions because people are starting to post their questions. You ready for some of the questions that people have?
yes.
All right, let's see. Somebody says they love your hair jewelry.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, very pretty.
Thank you.
Let's see. Sorry, guys. It's just there's a lot of like comments, and I don't know which ones are questions or not. But yeah, maybe you can tell us more about Versalles, like the actual neighborhood. Like, what is that is good about it? What do you like?
Yeah.
Why did it stand out to you versus other areas? For example, Zona Romantica.
Yes. Also, hair jewelry is new today. My beautiful friend slash client got me this. I was having like a moment with my hair where I'm like, I want to cut it all off. I started my lock journey before I moved. So I was like, I'm gonna lock my hair. I didn't want to have to navigate hair care as a black woman in a place that doesn't have a lot of black people. And so I was like, I'm gonna lock my hair. I
Mm-hmm.
did not know that locks actually require maintenance. And so now I'm like, I hate them, but she made me love them. So thank
It's
you.
very pretty. Yeah.
Thank you. Um, what I loved about Versailles is the fact that to me it felt like Mexico, with the cobblestone streets, and like I said, the small taquerias and the cafes. Like it like oozes authenticity and
Hmm.
culture. Um, it also though has the conveniences of something that I would like as someone with a young child. So proximity to Costco and the grocery stores. I like nice things. So the fact that my building is newer was something that was important to me. It's not necessarily like cookie cutter like the other developments my realtor was showing me. Like each building still has character. Um, but I love that there is this like newness to it, right? So it's like the perfect blend of like old and new. I get my nails done like 5 minutes away. My daughter's school, like I said, is 2 minutes away. Her new school is going to be 10 minutes away. Like everything is really like comprised in this beautiful like rectangle of an area. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what really like drew me here. I was like, oh, I want to go back. I want to go back there. I want to explore there.
Yeah. Yeah. And if there's other areas too that people might consider, like the Cinco de Diciembre, which is closer to the downtown area. That might not be your vibe if you are looking for less noise and like, especially, yeah, like if you're looking for more of a community of like homes where, you know, everyone kind of knows each other, and
Yeah.
not so much like all the neighbors. It could be a business next to you or maybe a house. Then those are things you need to consider. I would also recommend that you do something like did, which is, you know, rent an Airbnb for a month, 3 weeks to a month. I would say at least a month.
Yeah.
Rentals in Mexico go very quickly. So if you see something that you like, usually you have to be pretty quick to act on it. And it all depends on what city you're looking at, but somewhere like, especially in Puerto Vallarta, they tend to go pretty quickly, especially if you're looking on like the middle to lower end of the budget. And what I mean by that is anywhere like under 20,000 pesos or under $1,000, about
Mhm.
1,200 with today's exchange rate because it fluctuates. But anywhere under 20,000 pesos, they tend to go pretty quickly. So
Yeah.
you have to be pretty quick about having, you know, copies of your passport and making sure that you have bank statements and those kinds of things that a landlord will usually want to see to be able to rent their space to you. The other thing that I would say is that also don't be afraid to pass up a rental. Like, there will be others that will come up on the market. And I say that because there's also a lot of realtors that will like pressure people into renting something right away because obviously they want to, you know, get it off their plate, the sooner the
Yeah.
better. But also, you know, because they're just trying to create urgency. And they might tell you like, oh, you know, give me a deposit now and I'll hold it for you before. And I would say don't do that. Make sure you see the house first. um, you know, yeah, make
Yeah.
sure you actually see the home, see the neighborhood, check it out at different times of the day. Are you going to like living there? Can you handle the noise level? Can you handle like, you know, everything around it?
Yeah.
um, with the current rain right now, how is the Versailles neighborhood doing with regards to flooding?
Yeah, some parts of Versailles I hear floods. I haven't experienced any of it because thankfully it's happened at night. So in the morning, I see puddles here and there, but nothing has been terrible. When I was in the romantic zone, though, I would see the water just gush down the hills. Like it was like a river running through the streets. So there are other areas, you know, for sure that flood um, more easily. I haven't seen it here. I've seen pockets, obviously, just because the roads are uneven, but nothing has been terrible.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So yeah, maybe if you're thinking of driving a lot, that's something that you have to consider too. Where are you going to park your car, and does it come with your rental? And all these things are things that you need to consider before renting, you guys. Which
Yes.
I actually recommend living in somewhere like Puerto Vallarta that you try to go carless. It can be so liberating.
So liberating. It really is. And because everything too in Puerto Vallarta is also close, right? Like Ubers are 5 to 10 minutes depending
Totally,
where you really want to go.
totally.
Obviously, if you want to go somewhere far, sure, you know, it'll be longer, but everywhere that you need to be is within a close radius. So you're not in the car for long. Ubers take like 2 to 5 minutes to get to you. It's great. I love it.
Yeah. So you don't know if you're going to stay in Puerto Vallarta long term yet, but do
Yeah,
you think you'll stay in Mexico long term?
1,000%. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have Mexicans been welcoming to you in general, right? Like, because I know that there's this, and I'm sure your answer is going to be yes, just because of all the anecdotes that you've shared so far. But I get quite a lot of questions now about, are Americans still welcome in
Mm,
Mexico? So what would you say to that?
I would say Black Americans. Yes. I don't know, because I think they associate things with certain colors. However, obviously, come check it out. I think what's interesting is I would see and hear things of like Mexico is racist or like certain things, and I would see people with their phones out and then people like staring at them. And I'm like, well, they're probably staring at you because you're making a video. I don't know. I feel incredibly welcomed here as an American, as a Black woman, as a mom. I feel welcomed here. I feel safe here. I think as an American, like we're still welcomed, but again, it's about the attitude that you bring, right? The willingness to learn the culture, to know that you are in someone else's home, to accept the fact that you are an immigrant. Like the word expat blows my mind. I don't know, but anyways, I'm an immigrant here. Um, so yeah, it's about coming with the right attitude. I think. Um,
100%.
yeah.
Yeah. I would agree with that. I would say that, there are also very, nasty brown people, and I've seen it too. I mean, it just, there's nasty on both sides of the
Yeah.
spectrum. Um, but I would absolutely say that it all has to do with attitude. And also, I want people not to be scared of like just being themselves.
Mhm.
Because then I also get those comments too of like, I'm so scared that, they're gonna not like me, or I'm gonna get, people are gonna like point the finger at me, or I'm just not gonna be accepted. And I would say, don't overthink it so much.
Yeah.
Um, just be friendly, be kind, be willing to learn, and be willing to accept Mexico as it is. And sometimes, especially your first year, you're going to learn so much. You're going to learn what mistakes to avoid next time. You're going to learn how things are really done, like what's on paper versus the reality of things.
Yeah.
And so many little things like that, like what are customs that are kind of unspoken rules, and they
Mhm.
all usually vary too by region. So it's something important to just be a sponge when you first arrive. Try to get to know your neighbors, make friends with the locals, ask them what is traditional. If you get invited somewhere, try to bring a small little gift. That goes a very long way in Mexican culture.
Yeah.
Um, but your attitude is everything. So, being polite, being friendly, trying to learn Spanish, all those things will go a very long way.
Yeah. Something you said too is really beautiful. Like basically like entering the space as it is, right? Not coming to change it or expect things to be done like how things were done at home or how you would like it to be done. Like just coming and exploring and having an open heart and operating too with a pure heart. I think, yeah, like I said earlier, attitude is everything. And so you'll be reflected back what you put out for sure.
Yeah. It will test your patience. I mean, right? Like moving to a different country will test your patience. It's normal to get frustrated because you're learning so many things that are new, and then it's in a whole different language, and you wish things moved faster, and you wish you knew more. Um,
Yes, you're like la cuenta. You're like waiting
yeah.
for the you're like
Yeah, exactly. Great example. Like we're right. If you're coming from the United States, you're used to just having the bill dropped in front of you the minute you take your last bite. In Mexico, that will never happen. Like you have to proactively ask somebody to bring you the check, because it's very common for people to have a whole 2-hour conversation after they're done eating, after dinner or lunch. Like it's
yeah,
completely normal. Nobody's rushing you off to, get the next table there.
yeah,
So yeah, very good example of like, things work differently.
yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for spending your evening with me, Diamond, and sharing so much with our audience. Any last words that you want to share with anybody watching?
Last words. No, I would say if it's on your heart to move to Mexico, do it. Explore. You don't have to do it sight unseen like me, but doing a scouting trip and just using all the resources around you. If you have that calling, you should act on it for sure.
Yeah. And if you do want to do a scouting trip, we do have relocation tours not only in Puerto Vallarta, but in 50 plus different cities across Mexico. So if you're interested in learning about that, you can go to mexicorelocationguide.com/tours. And we have a bunch of other free resources on our site. So feel free to check those out. So thank you, Diamond, so much for joining me and sharing
Thank
a
you.
slice of, your life in Puerto Vallarta.
Yeah.
Let's let's like check in on each other again and see, are you still there in a year? If not, where have you moved to,
Yes.
and why, and how does it compare, and all those good things.
I would love that. And Blossom maybe can join the next one. I will do some media
I
training. I think she
would
could.
love that.
Yeah.
She is so cool, you guys. Like she honestly, she's like her mom. I mean, just like in a baby form, like a child form. But she is just as joyous and youthful and beautiful as her mom, but
Oh,
very curious. So she's the coolest kid.
thank you. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Well, thank you for raising an awesome kid. And thank you so much for sharing your evening with us. And I hope you get to go out and show off your beautiful hair bead and your dress. You look so stunning.
Thank you. Have a great night. Thank
Thank
you.
you all, everybody, so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next one. Hasta luego.